was the difference when you were signing acts to a publishing deal versus when you were signing them later in your career to a record deal? Were you looking for anything differently? Was there a different look at it, or was it the same thing? You wanted talent?
Well, first of all, you made a comment just now, which people think of publishers maybe as banks or whatever. I was never ashamed of that role. In fact, I felt it was a really important role because you couldn't go to the bank and get the money. Record companies, would generally not give you, enough cash in that way. So actually, I felt that was a role that we fulfilled, and I wasn't embarrassed about it, And of course, the great thing about publishing is that it's like a horse race. You can bet on them when they're in their saddling enclosure and, maybe sweating up a little bit, and you'll get, 50 to 1, and then they go out of the starting gate and they get off to a good start, so you can get 10 to 1. And they're coming up to the winning line, and you can get evens, and you can even, when they're being given the prize for having won it, you can probably get 1 to 10. And in publishing, you can bet on the race at any number of times, and obviously your odds improve, and the amount you have to invest increases. But it was a very different business, and you could take more risks and invest in more talent than in A&R. You have to be in a record company. You have to be very circumspect about how much you sign and the amount of time that you invest in that, and have a real vision and spend an awful lot of time with the artist to make that happen. Publishing, it's a very different role. And when I came to America, publishing was a different game here, because in the UK, really, there wasn't the writer, it was about artists. I mean, that's changed now. In the UK, there are a lot of great writers, and it's a different kind of business. But in the time that I was doing it, when you were in publishing in the UK, it was about signing artists, I
want to play you a little clip here. We spoke to a gentleman a while back by the name of Mario Gonzalez, who was giving us some history and background on how a publishing deal works. And when I say that I talk about you and I think about you frequently, I'm not kidding. So Darren, play this little clip for Richard and see if this rings a bell.
Key point, the term of the agreement. When I started practicing law, most publishers wanted life of copyright. They wanted that song in perpetuity. Thanks to the English, really, and it was really Richard Griffiths of Virgin Music. The publishers, they came over, and they were just further along in England, and those songwriters saying, "We're not going to give you our songs for the rest of our lives. We'll give it to you for the term of the agreement, how long we're signed to you, and then maybe another 5 years." And the publishers say, "Yeah, but if you're unrecouped, your advances are unrecouped, then maybe another 5 years after that." But at some point in time, the Beatles songs, the Rolling Stones songs, and so forth would come back to the songwriter. Unfortunately, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones did not have that in their agreements, and that's why their early songs are owned by other people.
Think that cost them a few pennies there, Mario?
Yeah, I think that was the little...
Beatles.
Yeah. So what you want to negotiate is a reversion. At some point in time, your songs need to come back to you.
All right, there's our friend. Now, I don't imagine you made a lot of friends with your publisher mates here in America.
They hated that.
But you did make a lot of friends with artists, and it has a huge impact in a successful artist's career, including my friends from Incubus. Talk about that clip and how you got to that place.
In the UK, it had been very much the norm for quite a while. I started at Virgin Music in 81. So by that time, reversion had started. And at Virgin, of course, we had less money than everybody else, okay? And although we were interested in building our business, and I'm sure Richard, at some point was thinking one day he would sell it, but he wasn't concerned about, you know, having a life of copyright on something. He was concerned about having the artist and having the success, and that was very much our MO was. You know, we think this act is going to be successful. What do we have to do to sign it? You know, so if we gave them, you know, term of the deal plus 15 years, 10 years, who gave a shit? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it you know, if you have success, you're going to renegotiate your deal, you're going to extend your deal, and it'll be way down the line. And so pretty much every deal, I'm not sure I signed any deal in the UK that had life of copyright. And I came over here, and that was just the way we did business, and it was very, very. And the UK publishing business was very aggressive. You know, the royalties we gave were far higher, the advances we gave were far higher. But you know, in publishing, if you have success, you can never work out how much money there is. I mean, the number of times that I would have renegotiated a deal and thought, oh my God, am I taking a risk here of giving them this huge advance? Never, because in publishing it just keeps on coming. So when we came here, it was okay, you know, and we were getting 20 years, you know, and they thought Christmas had come early, you know. And I remember getting the call from Marty Bandier and, you know, inviting me to come up and meet with him and Charlie Copperman. And, you know, we're two great publishers and charming gentlemen. Marty, you know, probably one of the great all-time publishers, you know. And they just sort of said, you know, this isn't really the way we do business here, you know. And I said, well, that's the way we do business, and you know, we were #1 market share in publishing in our second year.
Marty hasn't lost his chops at all, and what you did there has now become, you know, kind of the de facto standard in the business. And for artists out there that are watching here today, when some of this stuff might be technical and seem to go over your head, it's important stuff. And Richard Griffiths, you should send him a Christmas card and thank him for that little gesture of kindness and hope for artists out there they're trying to make some money.
I bump into artists and writers that I've signed over the years, and I say, you have checked your reversion, haven't you? You know, and it's amazing how often they happen.